if they are not investing in this solution or any of the technology, the risk will be more than the cost of the business. You have to define within those metrics what is more important for your business to function. So
Yeah.
first metrics will be what client is asking and what are we delivering.
On-ground employees, managers, and the executive, bring them to the meeting. You will get three versions of the same story.
Correct. Absolutely right. Yes, yes, we have seen
So,
that.
Tanmay bhai, welcome to Tech Leadership Club by AS13.ai. Brief introduction to by you for our audience.
Okay, so thank you so much, Arun, for having me on this podcast for this leadership in cybersecurity. I'll start my intro with one realization that shaped my entire journey in information security. And it goes like most people thinks that cybersecurity is about tools and firewalls. But I learned it the hard way. It's really about the people, decisions, and timings.
Mhm.
So currently, I'm working with ISO experiences, and we power customer experience by blending AI and human empathy across 23 global markets. So I started my career deep in the technical and operational side of security, working with systems, networks, audits, incidents, the real messy stuff. But then I was very much an information security evangelist, which who was passionate about controls, standards, and doing security the right way. But pretty quickly, I noticed there is a pattern. Now, the best security design which failed, it is not because of the technology was weak, but because people didn't understand why it mattered, or leaders weren't aligned with the risk. So that was the basically the turning point for me. So as my career progressed, I moved from doing security for systems to doing security for businesses. I stepped into
Nice.
governance, risk, compliance, that is GRC roles, governing across different regions, different industries, uh, helping organizations scale securely. So this phase taught me a very critical leadership lesson, which is security only works when it speaks the language of business. See, business leaders or the CXOs or CEOs, they don't understand security. So they only understand the ROI, they only understand their business, clients, customer requirements, client requirements. So we will have to speak what they want to hear, what they want to listen. So if we are talking about security, we are talking about SIM, SOAR, all technologies, they will not understand. But as soon as we start speaking that if we implement a firewall, if we implement a SIM solution, this much ROI you are going to have in next 5 years. So that's where the language of business is very
Yes.
important. Now, over time, my role it evolved from implementing controls to influencing decisions, working closely with CXOs, technology heads, and operations team. That's when I truly transitioned from an evangelist to a leader. I stopped
Nice.
asking, uh, "Is this secure?" and I started asking, "Is this the right risk to take?" So that's the transition. It is currently happening also with me, and as a
Mhm.
leadership role I keep on asking this in so now in recent years my focus has expanded into the AI era of security. AI is changing
Yes.
everything. How attack happens, how defenses work, and how decisions are made. What excites me most is not that AI is replacing security professionals, but AI augmenting human decisions or judgments.
Hmm.
I strongly believe the future belongs to leaders who can combine AI, identity first security, and strong governance without losing
Nice.
sight of ethics, human empathy, and accountability. Now, AI
Nice.
cannot take these decisions. Decision is end of the day, it is human centric. So today,
True.
my work, it is centered on building practical, scalable, and human-centric security programs. So now, security programs that enable innovation while protecting trust. And honestly speaking, that what motivates me most is helping the next generation of security professionals grow, not technically, but as a leader.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
really excited to be part of this conversation because podcasts like this allow us to speak openly about
Yes.
how security careers actually evolve and how leadership, AI, personal growth are now inseparable from information security or cybersecurity per se.
True. See, couple of points I want to just highlight. See, in the past podcast also I've highlighted this. How is the interview structure going to change? Because now you can't do the traditional interview where, ask a question, people respond with it,
Right.
based on their experience and everything. Now people's experience is about using AI tools. So in your interviews, should we give access to AI tools to see how effectively they use to get things done? Right? That
So
is something that we have to wait and see in couple of years how the world is of interviewing for technical skills or the ability to solve problems using these tools, because those tools are everywhere nowadays in day to day life. And the second point which you mentioned, right, I think I saw that transition in me also, where you're a pure technical guy, work on tools and technologies, but you don't understand the needs behind it. So that I realized throughout my journey, tools can only do so much, but there needs to be effective policy and procedures to enforce people to follow these tools. So that's
correct.
when I developed a huge respect for GRC, because without that, the company, no matter whatever the investment, if you don't have the right policy or processes built in, people are not going to follow it, right? So that's where I
Correct.
had a huge respect and I became a fan of GRC. Anybody who asks me what to do first, define a policy, right? What as an organization you have to do, what these tools has to do, what risk needs to be, and what is your threshold for accepting this risk, because that's what defines everything after you
That's
define those
correct.
things, right? And that's the realization that I can closely relate that happened within me. But it's great, listening that you had something similar, awakening that we have as a technical individual. You grow through your career and start. Once we thought these are, not necessary, kind of becomes a backbone or the pillars of what we need to do, right? Amazing. So, continuing with your career journey, Tanmay, what was the defining moment that shifted you from, let's say, you said this growth of using tools and technology in becoming return on investment and strategically picking whether this is the right risk that you want to target? Was there anything in your journey that triggered, hey, this is the moment that I shift from, thinking tools or technology into more strategic and identifying the risk that you want to target?
So it is a very interesting point which triggered. Now, I was working with one of the client in Dubai, and that was in very initial stages when I started with my GRC journey and thought of moving into this. So I was working with the client, and client started talking about the strategy, what planning they have for next 5 years, how are they moving into the GRC platforms, how are they moving into going towards AI. And to my
Mm.
surprise, AI was at a very niche stage. No one has heard about it.
What was it?
And
Pre-COVID? Pre-COVID days?
pre-COVID days, pretty
Okay.
much before pre-COVID. So,
Yeah.
and that person was a very learned person. He's still connected with me, and he's in Dubai. So, me and my manager, we both were there, and we look at each other. What is he talking about?
Yes.
So that gave me a trigger. Why can't I be at his position?
Yeah.
So I should be sitting at his position and discussing the same things. That's where, because I was working on vulnerability assessments, penetration testing, all driven by tools, like SIM platform. That time there was no AI, but a clean AI, clean SIM solution was there. PAM solution was there, nothing related to AI. So it was all related to the tools. Now, when he started talking, I was so much fascinated about the way he was speaking, the terminologies he was speaking, that everything got transitioned that I should be working on this space. And with that little knowledge, I started reading about the GRCs, reading about how governance work, how the enforcement work, how the policies designing, all these things. So that was a major turning point for me. And
Nice.
from, as I told in my intro, I started thinking about business, leaving apart the technology space, leaving about the tools, how the business function, how the business thinks, and how to embed security controls, security measures within the business portfolio.
Nice.
So that's how it goes.
Amazing. Yeah, because that is something that has happened to me. See, one of my manager where I used to work, probably you know this, I used to work at a government company in Dubai, right?
Oh,
So one of the director who inspired me into exploring out of my comfort zone was, he was always enthusiastic about learning something new. I was like in my comfort zone. I was not learning anything, right? But I was always amazed by the amount of knowledge he has and the way that he tackles the situation, even an unknown situation. He goes out with curiosity to learn more. And couple of things that I learned from him also is, that I realized within myself is I was always goal oriented. Hey, this is a task I've done, complete. Nothing else I need to do. But the awakening that I had for similar from security practitioner strategy leader where I was served as CISO for a couple of organization is the transition that came in was I changed in my mindset into growth mindset. Hey, what else can I do? I can do
correct.
this too. Can I solve a bigger problem? Can I manage people? Can I convince the board to take some actions based on the risk that they have exposed? Can I get into a CISO role? Right? All these questions were kind of self-inflicted. Like I ask myself, hey, what else can I do? Can I go grow beyond this? How can I grow beyond this? What are the things that I need to do? So that's how my kind of transition took place. But it's amazing. Everybody has that clear starting point. Like, hey, what am I doing? Can I do more? How can I do more? Okay, after 3 to 6 months, you realize you have done that and overcome that. I think that's the amazing part. We never ask that question to start with. If we ask earlier, we can start earlier, right?
Absolutely
So
right. Correct.
yeah,
And as you
thank you for
mentioned that,
thank you for sharing that one.
as you mentioned that your manager specifically asked you for moving the things and learning more things. So I will definitely give the
Yeah,
credits to a lot of my managers in past and my current managers, that they have not stopped anything. They were just open. Tanmay,
nice.
you want to do this, do it. You want to learn this, do it. And
Yeah,
I will salute those managers. You know, couple of my managers earlier also.
yes, yes,
So
yes.
all of them are the gem of the people, people's people. I'll say
Yeah.
people's manager.
Yeah. See, one
So
of the
they,
things probably we can talk about this, right? When we were in Paramount, we were never restricted. Hey, you want to do this? Go do this. You want to do
do
this?
this,
Go
yeah,
do this.
absolutely, absolutely. And in my first company, I'll say I had done a blunder.
Mm.
And I means I can tell you this story. I was working for one of the largest online education portal, and I was sitting
Okay.
in the data center, inside their data center, and running some scan, vulnerability
Oh.
scan. I don't know what I did, what happened, but their complete data center went down.
Oh.
It was a 3 hours downtime because of me. But I will say,
Nice.
But I will say that my managers, they have given such an open hand. Okay,
Hmm.
blunders will happen, but the learning
Move
which I
forward.
got from there, that I will not repeat this mistake anywhere else. I know that.
Nah,
And that never
that is
happened.
true. That
But
is
yes,
true.
in the
That is
past,
true.
have encountered the blunders. We have done the blunders. We could have gone into the
Yeah.
gym because of that. Because 3 hours
Yeah.
of education portal going down, it's $1 million loss to the business.
Yeah, especially global with true, true. And they can legally sue, right?
You
In
can
terms
legally
of
say,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mistakes, I
it
think,
happens.
as you said, you need to learn from the mistakes. That is for true. And if you do the same mistake, it's an insanity, right?
It is
Nobody will.
exactly correct.
Yes. Cool. Now, moving on to business enablers, right? See, one of the challenges that I see across the industry in IT and security and cloud adoption, whatever, how do you convince business executive that whatever the investment you're making is not cost center, especially in cybersecurity, but it's more business driver or enable for the business to take or grow the revenue? Because that's the fundamental challenge many salespeople face, many pre-sales people, pre-sales people face, and also as executives, let's say they have 500K that they need to invest, what are they expecting in return? That's the question they have in mind. Like, how do you convince these executives or talk to these executives that these investments are enabling your business?
Yeah, so it this question just reminds me. Recently, just a week back, I was discussing the same point with my manager here,
Nice.
and we had to pitch regarding our SIM solution to get expanded. And when we talk about SIM and SOAR, it's a huge investment. It's not a small investment.
Yeah.
So I was talking, how are we going to convince our top management to invest $500,000 just for a SIM solution? And for them, they cannot see a direct ROI.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
cannot be a direct ROI for a SIM solution. So
True.
what we discussed was that we will show them, if they are not investing in these solutions, what are the risks
Mm.
and how are they going to balance the risk and the cost scoring. So the
True.
risk, if they are not investing in this solution or any of the technology, the risk will be more than the cost of the business.
Mm.
Your entire business can go for a toss if they are not investing this 500,000 or 300,000, whatever the amount is. So that is the first enabler, that we have to show them the true picture of cybersecurity. We have to show them the market trends, that because of this, this company goes down. We have to show them the testimonials. We have to show them the real facts which are currently running in the market. And based on those, we can convince them. That is the first thing. Second is the regulatory compliances these days. The
Yes.
regulatory requirements of all different countries are different, and they are very much stringent. Now, even openly, we can talk about, for example, GDPR. So we have to comply with GDPR requirements. We have to comply with POPI requirements of South Africa. We have to
Yeah.
comply with DPDPA regulations. So this can be another trigger, that if we don't comply, there will be huge penalties which will be imposed on the company.
Yeah.
Another important thing is, which is coming up nowadays, which we are seeing in our client RFPs and the proposals which we are receiving, that clients, they themselves are requiring this. In
Mm.
every
Nice.
RFP, that is a mandatory information security and cybersecurity clauses, especially talking about having the encryptions, having this log management, log solutions, everything. So this also is a very much big trigger. Lastly, that is the fourth aspect, are the external audits which are happening. So I'm
Yeah.
just telling you the real life scenarios which are currently happening, because we are sitting at such a position that we can oversee. There are a lot of different countries, there are a lot of regulations which are coming up, there are regular client audit, regulatory audits which are happening. So in audit also, external audits, internal audits, client audit, third party audits. So everywhere this information security is being pitched, and it is a
Yeah.
very major concern. Now, combining all of this, we can clearly showcase to the management, if we are not investing, there will be a downfall. That is the only
Yeah.
way out. There's no other method to do that, I would say.
True. I think that is something that I've also seen in the past couple of years, right? The business has already made decision they need a SIM because they have evaluated options risk, right? Somebody at least given that educating board about cybersecurity program, which was a huge theme 5 years back. Like, how do you educate board, right? Now they see the risk, and some of them, as you mentioned, in the RFP clearly mandates they need to have this, right? The
Correct.
other one, which has evolved in the past half a decade or a decade, is regulatory bodies. They have become much more proactive, and even in 2026 in India, all the government, yeah, especially energy and utility companies, right? They have been mandated to reinforce their cybersecurity practices because, frankly speaking, 5 to 10 years back, nobody cared. Now it's a regulation that has been in place where it's a central government mandating all the states to follow best practices and make investments in those places. So these are the things that are evolving in the past 5 to 10 years. I think uh, that is
Yes.
no
So
absolute.
when we started,
Yeah.
yeah, correct. When we started, ISO 27001 was just considered as the tick in the box.
What?
But nowadays it is so much vast and it is so much required in the organization. No client is skipping that. I can see that
Yeah.
there is no standard. And we all know ISO 27000 is the foundation of every
Yes.
standard which has been created. So you cannot skip that, and you have to
Yeah.
comply. Even if you are government body, you are a private organization, you are an institute, you are a BPO, whatever it is, you have to comply with the requirements. That is the
Yeah.
base thing for information security now.
Yeah. And ISO 27000, if you meet, most of its requirement, you already qualify for the rest of the thing 60 to 80%, right?
Absolutely,
For other
absolutely.
compliances.
I've done those mappings. I've done those mappings with all the standards.
Yes.
Yeah, you call it a NIST standard, you call it
SOC
CMA
2,
standards, whatever. 60
SOC
to
2, GDPR.
70%,
Yeah.
that is you are compliant.
True, true. That's the power of ISO 27000. Cool. And see, when we are doing these kind of engagements, one of the other things that I wanted to know, right? See, what KPIs or security metrics that you report to executive leadership, especially when you are trying to make this business enabler use case, saying, hey, we implemented this. This is what the metric that you need to measure, right? So, any metrics that you can think from the top of the mind, what would be the most valuable or convincing metrics for their investment that they made?
Yeah, so with respect to that, there are a couple of metrics which I follow. Like there are security postures
Yeah,
and there are security balance scorecards, which will
nice.
give a complete idea of the organization, that where you are currently standing with respect to security. It can be based on the legal requirements, client requirement, risk requirements. So you have to define within those metrics what is more important for your business to function.
Mm.
Now, of course, the client is God. So whatever the client is saying, we have to comply with that. So
Yeah,
first metrics will be what client is asking and what are we delivering. So the metrics will first define that these are the client requirements. These all we are complying. These all are the KPIs which client has defined, and
nice.
how are we mapping to those KPIs. So it can be your antivirus status, it can be your patching status, Windows update status, OS update status, whatever. So there can be multiple uh, particulars, there can be multiple attributes to that KPIs, to those effectiveness measurement. One is the client requirement. Second comes is the legal requirement. Legally, now legally, every country has got different legal requirements.
Yes.
Like for example, in India, there is a Data Protection Act is there. There are what do you say? IT controls are there. RBI guidelines are different. There are, so for every industry, for every sector, there are different guidelines released by the government. So how much you
Mhm.
are compliant to that?
Yep.
Third is your risk requirement. Once you have done the gap analysis, once you have done the risk assessments, you have done the ISO implementation, all of those things are done, then you will come up with a score that as per this requirement, you are standing at this position. You are 80% compliant, you are 85% compliant, or you are 60% compliant. So once you have all these numbers in place, it will give you encapsulated data or the information that as per the current scenario, as per the current implementation, you are 60% compliant. And to
Yep.
make it another 10%, these are the four requirements. For making it 20%, these are the five requirements. You
I
cannot be
think,
100% on
yeah.
everything, but at least you can target yourself to reach to that goal.
Yeah, I think that is amazing because that is something that I did the same as C. So, see, as people and executives, we have limited resources, right, in terms
Correct,
of
correct.
time, money, and people. So, one of the things, especially what you mentioned about gap assessment, risk metrics, and other things, see, each company has dedicated budget for security, assuming because most of them don't,
The
right?
lowest one goes to security.
Yes. So when you get whatever the budget you have, then you have this beautiful looking metrics stating, hey, my identity is my weakness. My security operation is doing good, but my internal architecture team needs a revamp of the architecture, right? And my compliance teams need to do audits of regulatory and legal required audits. So now my priority is probably three, four out of the 100 problems rather than looking at 100 problems. I need to prioritize out of these three, four. How am I going to allocate budget? Hey, legal and certification audits, I can't take a chance. So we need to allocate. Now it comes whether should I fix my identity risks or should I fix my architecture risk, right? So based on that, it becomes easier to prioritize. Hey, I might fix few of the items here, few of the items here. Rest, I can roll it over to the next year. So I think that's definitely helps for a lot of leaders in order to make these kind of difficult choices. At the end of the day, it's a trade-off between time and money that we need to keep the show running in terms of the business, supporting it to keep it running from all this threat that we expose. Thank you for sharing those insights, Tanmay. So moving on, I know you have been great GRC guy. I've seen you run around clients holding this much big Excel sheet, implementing archers and other things. See, in many organizations, what I've seen is struggle to balance compliance and agility. Right? Compliance is always considered slow because it takes time to understand business,
Next time.
document, evidences. So how do you or what tricks you have to make it not look slow? Like, do you have
Okay.
anything like tools, automation, or any tricks that you have picked up in your experiences? Because the thing that I've seen is ISO minimum 3 months to 6 months engagements that you need to understand the business and everything, depending on the scale of the business, of course. But see, as you grow within the career, you tend to move faster, trying to complete assessments and gap analysis. Just wanted to get your insights. What do you do in order to make it not look slow?
Okay. See, uh, in my experience, what I have done and I'm currently doing also, I already mentioned gap assessment. So that is the core of every security implementation, I would say.
True.
So start doing the gap assessment. And when you are doing the gap assessment, involve all leaders, involve on ground staff, and involve the middle management.
Yeah.
Okay. As soon as you start involving them, you will get the insight. They will feel that, okay, something is moving, something is working on. Secondly, when you are doing the gap assessment, you will clearly understand where are the gaps in the documentation.
Yeah.
Start preparing the documents on day one. I'll
Nice.
say, as soon as you start gap assessment, start the documentation. Okay. It will reduce the time of your implementation. If the implementation is taking 6 months and your documents are ready within 1 month, the complete cycle will be closed in 4 months' time. in place of 6 months.
Nice.
That is the
Nice.
first mantra which I have adopted in last couple of years. Start
No
documentation
escaping
on
from
day
docs.
one.
No escaping on documentation. Yeah.
No escaping, because ISO and every standard, it is documentation. You have the documents
Nice.
in place, you have the evidences documented, you have everything black and white, you will sail through the journey. So documentation is the
Mm.
mantra, first thing. Second thing, when you deliver the report, when you deliver any gap assessment report or the risk management report or the compliance report, deliver it to the top management. Don't give it to the middle management.
Mm.
Okay, give it to the top management. Make them understand where is actually your focus is required, where are the resource requirement, where's the budget requirement. You need additional people to work on it, you need additional budget to work on it. Explain them, give them insight. These are the new trends which are there in the market. These are the
Nice.
facts and the figures, so explain them, make them understand. And during that meeting itself, you should take their approval, I would say, take their concise decision that yes, we have to move, because it is a top down approach. If the top
Yeah.
management is convinced, it will be a very easy journey. It will just as you are just doing a slicing the cake
Yeah.
once you will convince the top management. So these are the two most important things. You have that in place, your implementation of 6 months will reduce to 3 months. I can bet on
Nice.
it.
Nice.
And I have done it.
Fantastic.
I have the experience, so I know that it will happen.
Yeah, fantastic input. Yeah, I can totally agree. It's a top-down approach. Once you get an executive buy-in, it's easier to sail through the lower order because it's harder to push a decision in corporate from bottom up, right? It's
It can never
easier to
happen.
push a decision. Yeah.
Yeah, it can never
So
happen.
true.
And I
Cool.
would,
And
another thing is, I would say, for the organizations, hire a consultant. Why? Hire a consultant and an
third
audit,
party.
third
Third party.
party,
Yes.
because people from inside the organization will say one thing, and the same thing if a consultant will say, there's a difference.
Yes, and one more thing that I realized when you said on-ground employees, managers, and the executive bring them to the meeting, you'll get three versions of the same story.
Correct. Absolutely right. Yes, yes, we have seen
So
that.
yes, so that's a pretty common thing that I have come across. When I see on ground, it's different. When I ask executive, it's totally different. When I ask mid manager, he comes up with another version of it. So it's very hard. That's where third party, as you said, who come in with a fresh set of eye. They don't know the history of things, why it
Yes,
is what it is. They just put in white and black saying this is there, this is not there. They don't give that
correct.
star supplied, this is not there because they didn't approve or we didn't have enough time or we
Hmm.
did it, they asked you to no, no conditions apply. You just get a
No
plain in
conditions.
black and white. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
Cool. From your experience managing socks or threats, what is most underestimated by leadership team?
Okay, that's what I say. AI can improve the speed, okay, but it cannot beat the human intelligence.
Last part of the question is what advice would you give to aspiring tech leaders or cybersecurity people who want to grow into leadership? Um, what would be one advice that you would recommend?